In the annals of human achievement, few moments rival the lunar landing of 1969. It was a monumental event, broadcast to hundreds of millions of eager viewers across the globe. The grainy, ethereal images of astronauts bouncing on the lunar surface became instantly iconic. Yet beneath the celebrated success lies a persistent and shadowy narrative of doubt. This narrative is known as the moon landing conspiracy. At the heart of this enduring controversy is a specific, troubling claim: the alleged erasure of crucial evidence. The focus of this claim is the original high-quality telemetry tapes from the Apollo 11 mission. These tapes were not the standard television broadcast that the public saw. They contained the raw, unprocessed slow-scan television, SSTV data transmitted directly from the lunar surface. This STV format was a special, high-fidelity feed, incompatible with normal broadcast standards of the era. The signal had to be converted in real time at ground stations for the world to be able to watch. The original tapes, therefore, held a version of the moonwalk footage of far superior quality than what was ever publicly released. For years, these priceless artifacts were thought to be safely stored in NASA's archives. They were the master copies of one of humanity's greatest adventures. However, in the early 2000s, a startling revelation came to light. A team of retired NASA employees and researchers began a quest to find these original tapes. They hoped to use modern technology to restore the footage to its original, stunning clarity. The search spanned multiple NASA facilities and government archives. After an exhaustive, multi-year investigation, the team came to a shocking conclusion. The tapes, all 45 of them from the Apollo 11 mission, were gone. They hadn't been misplaced. They had been systematically erased. NASA itself confirmed the devastating news in 2009. The official explanation was a mundane, bureaucratic oversight. During the 1970s and 1980s, NASA faced a severe shortage of magnetic data tapes. These tapes were expensive, and the agency was under constant budgetary pressure. In a cost-saving measure, it was standard procedure to reuse old tapes. Approximately 200,000 tapes from that era were degaussed and repurposed. Among them, tragically, were the Apollo 11 master tapes. They were simply wiped clean to record new satellite data. To conspiracy theorists, this explanation was laughably convenient. How could the agency be so careless with the primary record of its crowning achievement? The act was interpreted not as an accident, but as a deliberate act of destruction. It was seen as the ultimate cover-up. Theorists argue that the original tapes would have exposed the hoax. They claim the high-resolution footage would have revealed lighting inconsistencies. Perhaps it would have shown wires holding up the floating astronauts. Maybe the lack of stars in the lunar sky would be more glaringly obvious. By erasing the tapes, NASA had, in their view, destroyed the smoking gun. This narrative paints a picture of a meticulous, long-term deception. NASA and the scientific community, however, offer strong rebuttals. They emphasize that nothing is truly lost in the way conspiracists claim. Converted broadcast footage was recorded by television stations worldwide. These recordings, while of lower quality, still exist in abundance. The erasure, while unfortunate, was a result of the procedural norms of the time. In an era before digital storage, physical media was constantly being recycled. The idea of preserving every piece of raw data was not a priority. The mission's success was the broadcast, which was saved. Furthermore, the physical evidence for the moon landing is overwhelming. Hundreds of kilograms of moon rocks were brought back to Earth. These rocks have been studied by scientists globally and are demonstrably extraterrestrial. Laser retroreflectors were left on the lunar surface by Apollo missions. Astronomers regularly fire lasers at these reflectors and receive a signal back. This is a precise and ongoing confirmation of their presence on the moon. In 2009, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter took high-resolution photos of the landing sites. These images clearly show the lander modules, scientific equipment, and even the tracks left by the astronauts. This is direct, photographic evidence that sits on the moon to this day. Faced with this mountain of evidence, the erased tapes seem less like a conspiracy. They appear more as a regrettable, but understandable, historical blunder. The story of the erased tapes is a cautionary tale about preservation. It highlights the clash between immediate needs and the long-term value of history. The conspiracy, however, thrives on the absence of that perfect, original footage. Doubt, once planted, is a difficult weed to remove. The narrative of a cover-up is often more compelling than that of a simple mistake. It feeds a natural human suspicion of authority and official stories. The very act of NASA admitting the erasure paradoxically fueled the fire. For believers, it was a confession, not an explanation. The search for the tapes did lead to a positive outcome. However, in the process of searching, NASA located the best available broadcast versions of the moonwalk. Using modern digital restoration technology, a team of experts painstakingly cleaned up this footage. The result was a significantly enhanced version of the event, released for the 40th anniversary. While not the original SSTV quality, it was the best the world had seen since 1969. This restoration project stands as NASA's attempt to make amends for the loss. Yet, for the true believer in the conspiracy, this is insufficient. Only the original, pure data would ever be convincing. And since that data is gone forever, the suspicion is also likely to last forever. The tale of the erased tapes has become a modern myth. It's a story of lost artifacts, secret knowledge, and a profound distrust of power. The truth, as presented by evidence, is that the moon landing was real. The erasure of the tapes was a bureaucratic failure, not a conspiracy. But in the marketplace of ideas, a compelling conspiracy can be more valuable than a mundane truth. The ghost of the erased tapes will likely haunt the legacy of Apollo forever. It serves as a permanent footnote of doubt on a page of triumph. The raw data from the Eagle's landing was captured by a 1.2 MHz multiplexed analog signal. This signal contained not just video, but also voice, telemetry, and biomedical data. The data was recorded onto 1-inch 14-track analog tapes. Each massive reel, weighing 15 pounds, held about 15 minutes of data. Ground stations in Australia and the United States were crucial for the process. They received the weak signal from the moon and amplified it. The scan converter, a machine the size of a refrigerator, performed the video magic. It essentially filmed a high-resolution monitor displaying the SSTV feed with a standard broadcast camera. This conversion process inevitably led to a significant loss of quality. The world saw a ghost of the original image. The engineers of the day knew the tapes were the true, high-quality source. However, these tapes were classified as telemetry data, not as finished video masters. This bureaucratic distinction would ultimately seal their fate. The Landsat satellite program in the 1980s required a massive number of tapes. A memo from a manager likely ordered the recycling of any available, non-essential tapes. No one realized the historical treasure they were destroying. The loss wasn't discovered for decades because no one had a reason to look for them. The public had the broadcast footage, and for most, that was enough. The conspiracy gained traction with the rise of the internet. Online forums and websites became echo chambers for doubt. The lost tapes became a central pillar of the argument against the landing. It was a simple, powerful claim that was easy to understand. The technical explanations for the erasure were often too complex for a soundbite. The idea of a bumbling government agency is harder to believe than a sinister one. The restoration project, led by Lowry Digital, was a monumental effort. They sourced footage from CBS archives, Johnson Space Center, and even a kinescope from a Sydney TV station. Each source had its own unique flaws and strengths. The team digitally blended the best parts of each source. They removed noise, sharpened details, and stabilized the shaky images. The final product revealed details unseen for 40 years, like the reflection in Armstrong's visor. But for some, this restoration was just more tampering with the evidence. The conspiracy is unfalsifiable. All evidence against it is seen as part of it. The erased tapes are a vacuum, and conspiracy theories abhor a vacuum. Fill the void with narratives of intrigue and deception. The physical moon rocks remain the most damning evidence against the hoax. They contain isotopes and show a history of cosmic ray exposure that can't be faked. The LRO images of the landing sites are the final, silent rebuke. They show a scene untouched for decades, a silent monument in the void. The controversy is no longer about evidence, but about belief. The story of the erased tapes is a testament to the power of narrative. It demonstrates that how we remember an event can become more important than the event itself. Physical tapes may be gone, reduced to magnetic dust, but the story they inadvertently created will be told for generations. It's a ghost story for the space age, a permanent question mark appended to humanity's greatest exclamation point.